Today, I'll be sharing a lot of useful information about replacing the clutch and dual-mass flywheel on a Peugeot 308T9 with a 1.6 HDI engine producing 120 horsepower. Alright, so first off, and perhaps most importantly for some of you, I won't be giving a step-by-step breakdown in this video about which bolt to turn, how much force to use, or what to clamp where, and so on. Secondly, I'll be telling you which parts you'll need for the replacement, their catalog numbers, and roughly how much they cost. And thirdly, if you're thinking that there's not much to this video, as all the information is already on the drive, I hate to disappoint you, but there are several articles on the drive listing the parts, though they all seem to have errors. It's almost as if one person copied from another, and so on. Alright, let's go through this step by step. First, let's talk about the symptoms, so you can understand why you might need to change the clutch, possibly the dual-mass flywheel, or maybe both. Since I'm not a mechanic and don't know all the ins and outs, I'll just tell you what specifically happened to me, and you can draw your own conclusions. So, when starting from a standstill, there was occasionally a slight vibration. At first, I thought it was the clutch pedal clip. Of course, there's a video about this on the channel. I replaced it and things improved significantly, but the problem didn't completely go away. The issue is particularly noticeable when the engine is warm, and even more so when it's very warm. Let's say you drive around the city for 2 hours, or alternatively, you spend those same 2 hours driving on the highway before entering the city. Now, when you start the car, it shakes really badly. It's so bad that you could easily stall. I had to be really skillful with the clutch and gas pedals. The problem kept getting worse and worse. I changed the clutch, which seemed to help at first, but gradually it got worse again. I drove like this for about 2 years, maybe a bit longer, before I realized something needed to be done. I should mention that on short trips, there was some discomfort, but not always, and sometimes it was barely noticeable. The biggest issue was when the engine was really warm, and it was most likely a problem with the entire clutch assembly. Anyway, I decided to change it. So this issue, there's another video about it. The problem has decreased, but it hasn't gone away completely. It's definitely better though. I drove for about another 6 months, and then decided to change the rear engine mount. You see, when shifting gears, especially when starting off, there's this vibration. That's exactly what this mount is supposed to dampen. I took off the old one and realized the problem definitely wasn't there. I didn't even bother putting on the new one, just returned it to the store. Well, I thought, since that's how it is, I poked around a bit more. I checked the engine hydro support, and it seemed like that might be the culprit. At least that's what I thought. Some kind of issue was coming from it, but as you understood, it seemed that I removed, returned, and put my own back. It wasn't about the part itself, you know. Well, the options were limited. Either the clutch or the flywheel, or both. If we round up the cost of parts plus labor, it all came to about $1,000. This was in the summer of 2023. I didn't do it myself. And this was on the condition that I ordered almost all the parts from Poland, which makes it significantly cheaper, especially the clutch kit with the flywheel. Without getting into specific figures, by ordering from Poland, you can easily save on labor costs. The work itself cost me $100, considering that I changed all the oil seals, stabilizer bushings, and the drive shaft bearing. Yes, for example, it's not absolutely necessary to change all of this, of course, but since you've already gone in there and everything's taken apart, it's like God himself ordered it, as they say. If you don't do this, they might charge a bit less for the work. It depends on how greedy your mechanic is. Let's talk about pricing. If you order parts from Poland or Europe in general, you'll have money left over not just for the clutch and flywheel, but also for all the seals, bearings, clutch fork, all bolts and labor. Alternatively, you could just get a clutch kit from the RB store. It's your call. I'll break down the costs in detail later, but let's cut to the chase. The most expensive item is the clutch kit with a dual-mass flywheel. It costs as much as a small spaceship. I paid $705 for mine from Poland. I researched it thoroughly, watched YouTube videos, read articles, and in the end, it looks just like the original. If you're interested, there's a link in the video description on how to tell the difference. The video description will explain how to distinguish between original and non-original parts. Why did I buy the complete kit? Because before you take apart the gearbox, it's unclear where the problem lies. It could be in the clutch basket, the disc, the bearing, the flywheel, or all of them at once. And this way, the mechanics won't charge me while the car takes up valuable space in their shop, leaving them without work. Or to avoid having to disassemble, inspect, reassemble, buy necessary parts, disassemble again, and reassemble again, I was told that ideally, you should have the complete set of parts that need replacing. But as you can see, it's unclear exactly what needs to be changed until you open the box itself. So, in theory, you could easily buy everything at the store and return what you don't need. However, keep in mind the prices I mentioned earlier. Perhaps buying in Poland was an option, with the possibility of returning everything if it didn't work out. But since I originally bought it through an individual, the price was close to the minimum. This wasn't a company, so there were no personal guarantees. Plus, he didn't transfer it to me directly, but through another intermediary. So in short, there were too many variables, not to mention the postal services. Generally, I wasn't really counting on being able to return the part. On top of all that, there was a difference in dual mass flywheels on the official website, specifically in the Whyvalo catalog. For 1.6 engines, there were two sizes and it wasn't clear what the difference was or what they depended on. That's why I bought a complete kit, at least to cover the size issue. You can guess that you'll be sure the flywheel will fit the clutch. Maybe both options would work, I don't know, but I really didn't want to risk that much money and time. Well, looking ahead, in the original setup of this engine, I had a flywheel from the UK company. Here's its part number. As it turned out, everything was fine with it. You could just keep driving. Of course, I changed it anyway since I had the whole kit. Why did I choose Whyvalo? Well, it's like treating myself to something a bit more expensive and supposedly better. Although, to be honest, it's debatable. Some people say Whyvalo works more smoothly than Luke. I can't deny that. I can't refute it, but keep in mind the original comes with a Luke flywheel. The bearing is SKF, and as the mechanic told me, he's never seen such wear before. It's completely unclear why and how this happened. These grooves shouldn't be there. It's extremely unusual wear for a bearing. Then I replaced the clutch fork. I bought the original, which cost me $45. Generally, you can find a much cheaper option if you go for a non-original part. For example, STC is about $9, Sasic is almost 60 rubles or $18. In other words, it's several times cheaper, as the original is really expensive. There's also an option to buy a repair kit, which includes a clutch fork. This plastic part in the middle costs about $8. How worthwhile is it to buy an original fork? Well, you can share your thoughts in the comments. I was banking on the quality of the metal, but maybe I'm wrong and overpaid. As they say, paying through the nose. Personally, my reasoning was that if the original fork shows this much wear at 190,000 miles, and we'll talk more about mileage later, then a non-original part would probably wear out even faster. Well, it's likely, but not certain. It's up to you to decide. The fork itself has considerable wear on the metal part, and critical wear on the plastic where the ball is installed. You can see it all for yourself. You can't really tell from just looking at it. The guide bushing is, of course, original, costing $15. The non-original one is literally just $1 cheaper, so there's no point in trying to save money here. This is what the old bushing looks like. There's wear, but it's not super critical. It can still be used. What's really important is that when buying a new part, make sure the packaging looks exactly like what you see in the video. I'm not sure if this is a common issue or just an isolated case. So I read on the forum that someone bought a new CV joint boot, and it was the original part, but it came in different packaging and for some reason turned out to be a different length. They only realized this after assembling the box. I'm not sure why or how, but the person ended up ordering another original one, this time in packaging like mine, as you see in the video. Everything worked out fine then. I'll repeat, I can't say this with 100% certainty, but it's better to get the exact one you see on your screen now. Next, let's talk about the oil seals. Here's something interesting. If you look at the official diagram from the Peugeot website, for some reason there are no oil seals shown on it at all, neither on the right nor anywhere else. There's no differential on the left. Nothing. It's the same on other diagrams too. If it's not there, then through trial and error, I found that the following oil seals work. The differential oil seal, like this one. Victor Reigns used it again. As for which brand to buy, I asked some independent mechanics. They didn't all say the same thing, but they agreed on one point. Overall, the quality of oil seals has declined. Let's say over the last 10 years, it's become somewhat unreliable. It might be due to counterfeits, I'm not sure. They say some oil seals last for ages, while others from the same brand start leaking right in the first month after repair. So I can't really recommend any specific company. The Victor Reigns oil seal costs about $16. The next oil seal. Everyone online seems to be installing this Cartega one, but there's one small interesting detail. Well, first of all, everyone seems to be writing the code for this oil seal incorrectly. After the 2, almost everyone has 3 zeros, or 2, if anything. Some search engines show both versions, while others simply don't want to look for a non-existent part. Well, okay, that's only half the problem. The second issue is that this isn't even the right oil seal. No, generally it fits, but it should be like this one. This was in the original. It might be this kind of L-ring seal, or maybe not. There's no description for it, but that's not the point. When you order from, take a look at these dimensions. If you're interested, pause the video and write this down. These are the dimensions of the original oil seal that came from the factory. I installed the wrong oil seal, like many others do. The mechanic said everything fit, the diameters were correct, but the shape wasn't quite right. So look for one specifically shaped like a mushroom. The cost, give or take, is around $12 depending on where you buy it. Now, our final oil seal is also shown on your screen. Everything's good with this one. The part number is correct, the shape is perfect, and it costs about $6. There are many similar options available, just like the... I'm not sure about recommending a specific company to buy from, but anyway, here's everything else that might be useful for you. First off, changing the oil in your transmission. If you haven't done that yet, I strongly recommend buying new oil and changing it. If you're interested, this video covers everything in detail. What to do, why, how much you need, and how to do it. Check it out. It's good for your car's health. All the links are in the description. As a bonus, Since we had the subframe off and removed the half shafts, it would have been a shame not to replace the drive shaft bearing as well. I bought an original part for that. I don't really understand much about this stuff myself, but the mechanic it looks very similar to the original. There are no special markings or brand names, but there is some writing on it. If you search for this code, you don't find anything except the bearing dimensions. I couldn't find anything on the old one either, no writing at all. So it's unclear what exactly is the original. Well, let's assume this is also an original. Now, if you're wondering why I'm changing this bearing, I didn't actually have any problems with it. But I figure, since I've already gone this far, removing the subframe, taking apart the gearbox, replacing all the seals, it would be a shame not to change it while I'm at it. This bearing, well, to put all this behind us for a long time, let's assume all the parts are of good quality. If that's the case, I won't have to touch it again. The next owner will probably only need to deal with it after tens of thousands of miles. But that's only if the parts are good. In any case, besides this bearing, we'll likely need to replace the stabilizer bushings. They're located right here. From the factory, they're either glued or welded to the stabilizer, so you can't just take them off easily. It'll take a bit of work. Or cut them off. At the moment, they're still functional, but here's the catch. To remove them, you need to take out the entire stabilizer. And to remove the entire stabilizer, you need to remove the subframe. So if you notice that the stabilizer bushings are starting to wear out or they're already making noticeable noise, it's more logical to change them. The idea is to remove the subframe once, not multiple times. To be fair, removing the subframe on this car isn't particularly difficult. It's actually quite easy. So you'll have to decide for yourself. As for which bushings to buy, I currently only know of one company that makes them, since they're not removable. The company is Tedgam, and you can see the part code on your screen. They cost about $25 per pair, and they're from Poland. That's pretty much it. Lastly, regarding the mileage, whether I really have 190,000, or if it's slightly different, I asked the mechanic at what mileage the clutch typically wears out on similar cars with similar engines. The numbers vary, but it's usually between 250,000 and 300,000. Regarding mileage and the dual-mass flywheel, it hasn't been changed on these types of engines yet. Generally, flywheels last about 300,000 miles, but there are exceptions. It really depends on how the car is used. In my case, the car was either heavily used in the city and reached 190,000 miles, or realistically, if the odometer was tampered with, it should be around 250,000 to 290,000 miles. That would justify such clutch wear. In defense of the first scenario, there's unusual wear on the thrust bearing. As for the second scenario, the documents show the car is supposedly from Germany, though there are tricks people use. They might buy a car from elsewhere, register it in Germany, and suddenly it becomes expensive and good quality. Naive Belarusians like me happily buy these cars. The main thing is that now I have a new clutch, new flywheel, and basically everything related to the clutch is brand new. It all works smoothly, just like it should from the factory. I couldn't ask for more. Well, I've already mentioned the price of $1, which is rounded up for simplicity's sake, but in reality, considering the work, parts, delivery, and the fact that I've already sold the old flywheel, the total cost for me personally came to $813. If you happen to know someone in Poland, you might be able to get it a bit cheaper, say around $750 or $780. And if you do everything yourself, it'll probably cost you about $650 to $700. This is as of summer/fall 2023. So that's about it. I'll wrap things up now. Feel free to write all your questions in the comments and I'll try to answer everyone. That's all I've got for today. All the interesting and useful links, especially on how to do this yourself, are in the description of this video. Thanks everyone for watching and take care.